Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here Friday, May 23rd. We've got AFC South Power Rankings, on deck. But first of all, before we get to that, I wanted to shout out to the person in the comments of the last video, the top 5 players for the Jacksonville Jaguars video in 2025, who mentioned some of the specialists, and they should absolutely be included. Obviously, in that line of thought that I had for that video, I was only doing offense and defense. But if you do include the specialists who are football players too, Logan Cook is the Jaguars' best player. He's one of the best punters of all time. Ross Matisic, one of the best long snappers in football. Obviously, the snapping part's a big deal, gets the job done there, but also really good at going down and covering kicks as well and being very reliable. And then Cam Little, I mean, what he did as a rookie was unbelievable. If he performs throughout his career the way he did as a rookie, he's going to be one of the best kickers ever, which, of course, a long way to go. He's got to prove it. Kicking is a fickle, confidence-based position, but what Cam Little did last year, 93% of his field goals he made. He was 5 of 6 from 83% from 50 plus. Like that's wild for a rookie to be that effective. He was also really good on kickoff. So yes, shout out to the specialists. Shout out to Heath Farwell for doing a good job getting them prepared, because, special teams often overlooked area of the game when it comes to the media, but it is a big deal, and those guys deserve their praise. And honestly, top 5 players, Logan Cook's definitely on that list. You could argue that Ross Matisic and Cam Little are too. So they were all really good in 2024. So moving forward, AFC South Power Rankings. Second time I did that today. AFC South Power Rankings. This is kind of an early look at where I kind of view this division shaking out, how I view these teams, maybe some of the question marks, etc. I will start at number 4. I have the Titans at 4. They have a new front office, which I think did a pretty good job overall in the draft and off season. Obviously, they went and selected Cam Ward with the first overall pick. You have a second-year head coach who I do think has some nice offensive concepts, Brian Callahan. Rookie quarterback. You've addressed the offensive line in a big way multiple years in a row. You've got Peter Skoronski. You've got Lloyd Cushenberry. The backup in there played pretty well for him last year when he was injured. You went and got Kevin Zeitler. You went and got Steelers starting left tackle Dan Moore. J.C. Latham's in there. So you did some nice things there, right? You have some talented offensive weapons. I think it goes under the radar that they went and got Tyler Lockett, along with the 2 draft picks, Jameer Dike from Florida, Alec Io Manor. They got Io Manor in the 4th round. I thought he should have been a day 2 pick. They still have Calvin Ridley. They have good running backs, right? So there's some talent. And Cam Ward is obviously a very dangerous playmaker who definitely needs to take some steps forward in the NFL. I like the defensive pieces too, and I think defensively it all hinges around the interior. Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat, one of the best interior duos in football, maybe the best. Tavondre Sweat was really good as a rookie now, and Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best in the business. So that is really impressive there. And they've got solid pieces throughout overall. I think Denard Wilson, coming from obviously the Baltimore background, has good pedigree in his second year. So they've got some nice things brewing there, but they were the worst team in football last year. And I think that they've taken some steps forward. I don't think they're going to be at the bottom this year, but you still do have a rookie quarterback and question marks in terms of just like what the ceiling is of the 2025 Tennessee Titans, in my opinion. But putting them at 4 is not necessarily like an insult, in my opinion. I think that this division is fairly tight, honestly. I think even though I have the Titans at 4, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to beat or have a close to 500 record in this division. Beat any of these teams, have close to 500 record in the division. I do think that they're moving in the right direction. A lot of it's going to come down to how well Cam Ward assimilates as a rookie and the job that Brian Callahan can do overall, just getting this organization moving in the right direction. At number 3, I have the Colts. Everything, almost everything. And, shout out to Jim Irsay and his family and, rest in peace, obviously. Lost one of the most unique owners, certainly in sports, Jim Irsay. We can say that. So shout out to the Colts family, Jim Irsay's family. Thoughts and prayers go out to all of them. But from the Colts football team, almost everything feels like it's in place. I like the offensive line overall. I like the running back, obviously, Jonathan Taylor, one of the best in the business. I love getting Tyler Warren. I think they have a good receiving group. I like their defense. I really do. I think that they actually made some steps in free agency this year and on the defensive side of the ball to be a lot more competitive over there. Obviously, moving on from Gus Bradley, which, the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, he's owned Gus Bradley defenses, right? So that is definitely a step in the right direction. Bringing in Lou Anarumo to replace him, I think, is a big deal. I don't think he should have been fired by the Bengals. So they also went and, they signed 2 free agents in the defensive backfield, Bynum and Ward. Obviously, Ward's coming off of a unfortunate situation family-wise last year and then didn't have a very good season overall, but still a very talented corner. And Cam Bynum, very good player coming over from Minnesota at safety. So I think you look across the board, they still got DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, Latu. They've got depth at edge. They've got depth on the interior. Zaire Franklin is a very good linebacker. I think their rookie from last year out of Missouri who converted from safety to linebacker has a shot to be a very good player. I like his skill set. I like a lot going on in Indy. But they have the most unsettled quarterback situation in the division and really one of the most unsettled quarterback situations in football. I do think every quarterback that has played for the Colts under Shane Steichen outside of Anthony Richardson has played some of their best football at times under Shane Steichen. I think he's a really good offensive coach, but they've got some things to figure out. And bottom line is the 2 teams at the bottom of the division, one has a rookie quarterback, one has a situation with Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones. You don't know what's going on. So really, a lot of it all comes down to the quarterbacks for these rankings. And right now I have the Jaguars second. A lot of reasons to believe, I think. It doesn't appear that they have any major weaknesses. I think there's some question marks, but nothing that you look at on the roster that you're like, how are they going to survive that? Their strength, in my opinion, should be their passing attack on offense with Trevor Lawrence, Liam Cohen dialing it up, Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, the other ancillary pieces. I think they've got a really good situation there. And then the defensive front, right? Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker. You've got Eric Armstead kicking back inside. He's not coming off of an injury this year. You've got Mason Smith taking a step forward. Devon Hamilton still there. Jordan Jefferson. Emmanuel Ogbah comes in. They added Jalen McLeod in the draft. You still have to see how it all comes together. First-time defensive coordinator, Anthony Campanile, who I like a lot, but you still got to see it. And first-time head coach, Liam Cohen. First-time offensive coordinator, Grant Udinski. Liam Cohen will call the plays. But there's a lot that just has to come together for a completely new group. I have a good feeling about it, but I also have a really good feeling about what the Texans did in a lot of areas this offseason. Obviously, they have their star quarterback. They have their star head coach. They have a great defense. One of the better defenses and one of the better coach defenses in football. I think C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence are in a similar situation in terms of just like where they're at in their careers. Lawrence a couple years ahead, but I think they're both really good quarterbacks, really good young quarterbacks. I like hiring Nick Caley from the Los Angeles Rams. He was their passing game coordinator. I like, saying we've got to get rid of everything on the offensive line and we've got to get rid of everybody who was a part of that protection scheme last year. But what they did from a personnel standpoint on the offensive line, very uninspiring. Very uninspiring. So that's why really I could see one of the other teams winning the division. If the Texans had done a better job with their offensive line, they would be far and away my favorite to win the division. They're still at the top, right? I do not like what they did overall. I do think coaching can make it look better than it did last year, and it has to look better than it did last year. And I'm not completely out on all the pieces. I just think in totality what they did in saying, like, it's inspired to say, yeah, we've got to get rid of everybody involved in this. But what are the replacements that you brought in? Where are the upgrades? You traded away your best guy, Laramie Tunsil, and now you have Cam Robinson in the starting lineup. You still have Titus Howard, who's a good player. Jarrett Patterson, Juice Scruggs, Blake Fisher going into year 2, I think you could have some optimism about that. But the free agents you brought in, Laken Tomlinson, Ed Ingram, Trent Brown, Jake Andrews, like nobody really was looking at these players. It felt like Ariante Urser, you drafted in the second round. I don't think he's going to be the answer in year 1 at either tackle spot. So, I mean, again, with better coaching, is this an offensive line that you could potentially get by with? Yeah, I do think it is. But is it an offensive line that's going to help you win games in January? Probably not. And is it an offensive line that's going to have success against the Jaguars defensive line and the Titans defensive line and the Colts defensive line? Defensive fronts are some of the strengths of this division, right? And I don't like what they did enough to get fired up about it. We'll see. I still have them at the top, but I think that they are vulnerable. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.